Different engine and transmission combinations means you might have to modify your drive shaft. Here's how you do it.
2-minute tech.
Now we're going to need to swap over the Marauder transmission output onto our drive shaft. And we've showed you guys this stuff before, but this time we want to show you a couple of tools to make the job easier. Now both these tools we picked up from Matco. The first is an air hammer attachment that drives on the yoke and drives the U-joint cap down into the tool itself. It'll save you from having to do the hammer and socket method. The second is some U-joint snap ring pliers, and it'll keep you from inventing new words, getting frustrated with needle nose. That was too easy. The impact hammer and attachment makes quick work of removing the rusted-in-place U-joint caps. Now, like we said, this is going to be a temporary drive shaft until we can move on to stage 2 and buy a high RPM, fully balanced drive shaft. But there's still a couple of things we can do to make sure this job gets done as accurately as possible. Now, to make sure we don't upset the balance of the drive shaft too much, and to make sure the U-joint yokes stay in phase, we make a mark down the length of the drive shaft. We also mark the 2 inches we're going to cut out of it. After making sure the tube is level and perpendicular to the saw blade, we can go ahead and make our cuts. Now, if you're wondering why we're not making the modification closer to the yoke, well, that's where the weights are attached, and we don't want to get into that area. Plus, the larger diameter section we're working on will just increase the weld strength. Using the red scuff pad, we'll first clean the area to make sure we get a good clean weld. The second thing we'll do is put a slight bevel on the end of the tube to make sure we get good weld penetration. Now here's another tool that's pretty handy. This is a magnetic ground clamp attachment. A few MIG tack welds will hold everything in place until we can measure for runout before the final welding. All right, with our temporary drive shaft tack welded together, we want to make sure the runout is within a reasonable amount before we fully weld it in. Now to do that, we're going to use these aluminum V-blocks and a dial indicator. Now scrubbing off any surface rust and applying a little bit of grease to where we're going to be spinning our drive shaft will minimize any rolling resistance, making it easier to turn, and increasing the accuracy of our measurement. Now ideally, you don't want any runout, but a good rule of thumb is you want it less than 5 or 6 thousandths. All right, once you're happy with the runout, you can go ahead and fully weld it together. Just remember, do small sections at a time. You don't want the drive shaft to warp. Now, you can get this done with a MIG welder, but a TIG offers a little bit finer heat control. Remember, the wall thickness of the tubing is only about 1/16 of an inch.